Gunnar Stockton can't lose this game for Georgia. He just has to be steady enough that he can let the Georgia defense do its thing.
Before the snaps, game of the week in college football week 3 is number 6 Georgia at number 15 Tennessee. 2 games in, 2 starting quarterbacks. Which team looks more complete or stronger at this point?
Well, it's really hard to tell through 2 weeks because both teams have handled a pair of cupcake opponents in which Tennessee and Georgia both look good. But again, those type of opponents don't tell us a ton about either team. What was telling, though, both Georgia and Tennessee transitioning to new starting quarterbacks. So it had to be comforting the way Gunnar Stockton has played through 2 weeks at Georgia and the way Joey Aguilar has played for Tennessee. Again, the competition is going to ramp up for each, but so far, so good for those two new starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, neither team has been tested. I would say Tennessee looks maybe a half a step ahead of Georgia, just because Georgia had a lackluster performance against Austin Peay. But see, here's the thing. We've seen this before. Georgia always has a subpar performance sometime before the Tennessee game. Last year was a loss to Ole Miss. For a couple years there, it was lackluster performances against Missouri. Kirby Smart always does this. It's sort of a snake in the grass move. It's having a subpar performance, and then Tennessee fans getting their hopes up that they're going to get that kind of Georgia. And instead, Georgia brings its best into the Tennessee game. I expect Georgia's best at this one. And I don't think any of the first 2 games can tell us much about either team.
Adam, Tennessee and UCLA basically traded quarterbacks in the offseason, and Joey Aguilar didn't have a full offseason with the Vols. So do you think he's found a rhythm, or do you think he's still working out some of the kinks with a shortened offseason and the new team?
It's one of these weird things where Joey Aguilar fits this offense better than I think more talented or higher recruited quarterbacks have. He understands the offense well. His mobility has helped him quite a bit. Now, again, he hasn't been tested. He hasn't really been pressured much in games up to this point. Georgia's going to bring a lot more heat than he's seen so far, but his skill set fits. And the fact that he was sort of traded for Nico Iamaleava, I think, has ingratiated him to the fan base quite a bit. They like his story. His story is not going to carry him through this game, but he does fit what Josh Heupel wants at quarterback.
What's one key to winning this game for Georgia and for Tennessee?
For Tennessee, Tennessee has to win the line of scrimmage. So far in these games, Kirby Smart versus Josh Heupel, which we've had this one 4 times, Georgia has dominated the line of scrimmage. They've outrushed Tennessee by an average of about 60 yards a game in those matchups. In those 4 games, Kirby Smart versus Josh Heupel, Georgia has 18 sacks. Tennessee has 3. So Tennessee's going to have to bring pressure on Gunnar Stockton. They're going to have to control the line of scrimmage. Both teams want to run the ball. Tennessee's going to have to do a better job at that to win this game. And both teams have generally a new offensive line. So whoever wins this game, it's going to set the tone for that unit the rest of the season.
Yeah, for Georgia, I think it's a couple things. One, Gunnar Stockton needs to be good. He needs to be steady. Doesn't have to be great. Gunnar Stockton can't lose this game for Georgia. He just has to be steady enough that he can let the Georgia defense do its thing. You look at this series, Georgia's won 8 straight against Tennessee. Kirby Smart has mastered the Vols, and conversely, Georgia is the one team that Josh Heupel hasn't figured out. I mean, you look at the past several games in this series, you have to go back to 2020 when Jeremy Pruitt was still the coach to find the last time Tennessee scored more than 17 points against Georgia. Josh Heupel's offense gives problems to a lot of opponents, doesn't give problems to Kirby Smart. So I think Georgia's defense just has to be Georgia's defense, which is really, really good. And Gunnar Stockton can't lose the game, play good, don't have to be a superhuman, and let Georgia's defense do what they normally do to Tennessee.
Georgia versus Tennessee in week 3, who wins and why?
I think it's Georgia. I think Kirby Smart, like I said, he's not perplexed by Josh Heupel's offense. He's kind of mastered his approach going against this spread tempo system. Tennessee, while Heupel has been there, has been really tough to beat at Neyland Stadium. I think that's sort of the X factor here. We've seen Tennessee, the last 2 times Alabama came into Neyland, Alabama went home a loser. Now, that hasn't happened to Georgia, but that home field advantage should help sort of level the playing field here. But overall, again, it's hard to look past what Kirby Smart's defense has consistently done to Tennessee and Josh Heupel.
Yeah, I certainly believe there's a path to a win for Tennessee here, and a lot of it has to do with that home field advantage. I think the Neyland Stadium crowd's going to be worth at least 3 or 4 points in this game. Georgia has always had more raw talent, at least recently in the series. They've always had more depth. They've always played with more physicality, and I think all three of those are probably still true. The difference now is that I think that margin is much smaller than it was 2 or 3 years ago. That being said, I've seen this movie before, and I think Georgia's going to win. I think the matchup is on Georgia's side. I believe Tennessee can win it, but until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. I'd say Georgia wins about 27-21.
Week 3 of college football, and we're doing some rapid fire straight up picks, starting with number 12 Clemson versus Georgia Tech. I really expected more from this Clemson offense, but it's not as explosive as I thought. I say Clemson wins, but barely.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I think I also had really high expectations for this Clemson team. Didn't think this game would look as scary for them preseason as it does right now. I mean, Georgia Tech's a team I really believe in, but I just don't think they're going to have quite enough to get this one done.
Number 18, South Florida versus number 5, Miami. I think South Florida's early season magic ends here, and Miami wins this one.
Yeah, the Bulls are already kind of the talk of college football after their huge upset last week against Florida, and for good reason. I do think that run is going to end here against Miami. I just think this Miami team's a little bit too good. But with that being said, I think USF could afford to lose this game and still remain the G5 playoff favorite.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Arkansas versus number 17, Ole Miss. I'm going with Ole Miss at home, but they really need to chill out on the turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both had Ole Miss winning pretty big last week against Kentucky. Didn't really work out that way. I mean, I think this Arkansas team can challenge them more than Kentucky did with Taylor Green, the quarterback, but I just don't quite see them pulling off the upset. I think Ole Miss kind of gets another sluggish win here.
Florida versus number 3, LSU. I'm going with LSU all the way on this one.
Yeah, Florida has the talent to compete in this game. They have the defense to keep this one close. But frankly, as long as DJ Lagway and the offense look frankly terrible the way they have the first 2 weeks of the season, I don't see any reason to believe Florida can go into Baton Rouge and get this win.
Number 16, Texas A&M versus number 8, Notre Dame. We've only seen Notre Dame play once this season, and that's hard to judge with a young quarterback. But I'm still going with the home team here.
Yeah, this is the hardest game of the week, I think, to pick, just because, like you said, we don't know much about this Notre Dame squad. But A&M hasn't looked great. I kind of feel like they're going to get the job done here, though, and that's really just a gut feeling. But I think A&M has enough in the running game between Marcel Reed and the running backs. I think they will be able to challenge Notre Dame a bit here and get a win on the road.
Number 6, Georgia versus number 15, Tennessee. I'm giving the edge to Tennessee against a Georgia team that I feel like has yet to find its offensive fireworks.
Yeah, only 28 points last week against Austin Peay. I mean, Tennessee looked really good against Syracuse. I think the way Syracuse played last week, though, maybe shows that wasn't all that impressive of a win. I'm going to lean Georgia here until further notice, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Tennessee pulled the upset here.